Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This question is to the Premier. The Premier wrote her plan for how all elections will be financed by herself at home 2 days before she met with the opposition members. It's not clear she even consulted with her own caucus. She hasn't consulted with experts, she hasn't consulted with civil society, and she certainly hasn't listened to Ontarians. Why is she stubbornly refusing a process that includes all major political parties, civil society, and nonpartisan experts, and instead choosing to go it alone?
Mr. Speaker, I've known the member for Kitchener-Waterloo for a very long time. She used to be a school community advisor with the Toronto Board of Education. I know she worked in community very well, and I know that she understands how process works. I know she understands that when there are important decisions to be made, everybody needs to do their work. Everybody needs to look at the options. Everybody needs to come forward with a synthesis of the ideas that they have looked at, and then to sound those out with other people and then come up with a solution, Mr. Speaker. And so I'm really surprised that this member, who understands that so well, wouldn't understand that we all have to do this work. Every one of us who wants to have input into this process has to think about what the options are, Mr. Speaker, has to consider those options, and then has to enter into a broader process. Answer. That's what we're doing, Mr. Speaker. We're going to bring legislation forward. We're expanding the consultation period. We want to hear input from people around the province, Mr. Speaker, and we would love to hear where.
You say it, please. You say it, please. Just when I was ready to admonish. Supplementary.
Thank you. Let's remember, in the 2016 budget, the Premier established a number of new panels. In the past, this Premier created panels on how many bottles of beer someone can buy and where they can buy them. The word consultation appears in the 2016 budget more than 50 times. Clearly, the problem isn't that the Premier refuses to hold consultations or conversations or doesn't like independent panels. She needs to remember that our democracy belongs to all of us, not the Liberal Party. Explain to Ontarians why she thinks she alone should be making the rules for our democracy functions, and why she is stubbornly refusing an open, transparent consultation by establishing a fast-moving, independent panel on election fairness.
Mr. Speaker, I do think that there should be a democratic process, and I think that having the legislative process, putting the legislative process in place on
Premier.
is the democratic process, Mr. Speaker. It is exactly the democratic process that we're proposing be used. And I think the third party, by suggesting that the process in this legislature to put policy forward is not democratic, is a pretty outrageous statement, Mr. Speaker. I think that the third party doesn't want to talk about the substance. I think that the third party wants to talk about process because they don't want to talk about the substance, because they want to delay, Mr. Speaker. I want to make sure that we have a process in place that allows us to move January 1st, 2017, to have those rules in place. I think the third party wants to delay beyond that. We're not going to do that, Mr. Speaker.